All right, we're going to start with grammar and go ahead and turn to page 61 in your grammar books. We're going to start there today. '61. And it's the Learn It page. Okay, I see a thumbs up there, Wyatt. Good. So if you have any Post-its with you or nearby, that would be good, because I'm going to have you tab a few pages in your grammar book to help you. Actually, one page today, but we're going to be doing that a little bit each day. So that can be another supply that you keep with you near your desk during class. So let's get right to it. This is page 61, and we're talking about verbs. And, we've been talking about action verbs. You know that. I know you guys have heard that a lot, action verbs. And I remember Alex saying they're your favorite kind of word. So that's cool. They tell an action, like sitting, running, jumping, hopping, all of those things that we know physically that we can do. So it says a verb shows an action and it links the subject to another word or helps another verb. So we're going to talk about helping verbs today. So it says week 9, you learned about action verbs. Those are the ones we know, like Alex talked about. Those are the things we do. Like right now, Alex is chewing. That's okay. I know you're finishing up your breakfast, but chewing is a verb, right? You're doing something. That's an action verb. So, and then in week 10, you learned about linking verbs. We learned about that. And then this week, you'll learn about helping verbs. So there's more than just action verbs now. We're talking about linking and helping. So this is going to be new to you, but don't worry, it'll make sense the more you practice it. A helping verb helps an action verb or a linking verb. The helping verb is always followed by another verb. The words below are helping verbs. So here you've got your list, which is great. And guess what? The same list is down here. So 2 parts of this page show the same list. These are all of them. So if you have a Post-it note with you, those little sticky notes, I want you to put one on this page at the very top. You know how we do that where we stick it above so it sticks out like that? And go ahead and write, actually, before you stick it on there, at the top of it, you can put linking verbs like that. Linking verbs. If you have a Post-it, if you don't, you can do this later. Try to bring Post-its to the next class, but right here. And so you stick it above the page, so it's kind of sticking past like that. Linking verbs. And this is where you'll find the list. The reason why I want you to put a little Post-it on there is because that will help you find that page faster. Okay, here's the whole list of linking verbs right here. And as we go through this page we're going to practice with, keep these words in mind. We can flip back here and check for these words as well. All right, and then it says, find the helping verb in the sentence. Look for the action or linking verb that the helping verb helps. To find the subject, ask who or what. Write V above each verb and S above each subject. So here's the best way to do this. If you look for the verb first, that's going to help you. So when you're looking for a subject-verb pair, that means they go together. Start with the verb. That's going to be a big clue for you. So in this sentence, the princess would steal to get the magic bag. So we know steal, that's an action verb, right? That's something that you can do. Stealing is something you can do. You shouldn't do it. I'll just plug that in because obviously you'll get in trouble if you steal. So, but anyway, it still is an action verb. So steal is the action. And right before it, I see would. And guess what? Would is right here in our list of linking, helping verbs. These are helping verbs here. So would steal goes together. That's why they're both verbs. So when you mark these, you're going to put a V above them. So would steal, those are both verbs. You're going to put a V above both of those. Christian, do you have a question?
My question is like, would metal steal count as an action?
Would metal?
Steal, to spell the same?
Oh, you're thinking of the metal steal. No, that has two E's. Like if it's a metal, like a heavy metal, that's steel, that is two E's. This has an EA, so this means to steal. It's an action like if you take something without permission. Okay. Okay. So then once you identify your verbs, then you're going to ask who stole or who would steal. And that will give you your subject. The princess would steal. So if you ask yourself who or what after the verb, see how it says who or what and then the verb, that will help you find the subject. So start with a verb and then ask who or what, and that will help you find the subject. So subject's princess, would steal are the two verbs that pairs with that word princess, the subject. All right. And then we're going to talk about that clause. We've talked about who, which, right? Clauses. We've talked about that in our writing part of the class too. Who and which, but now we're going to talk about that. That's also a clause. That clause is a group of words that begins with the word that. So it's a clue and contains a subject and a verb. It must be added to a sentence that is already complete. That's true for the who, which clause too. Remember, when you take away that clause, the sentence should still make sense. That's something that we need to practice a little bit more. To mark it, you're going to use parentheses around it. So place parentheses around that clause and write that above the word that. I know it sounds redundant, like you're copying the same word, but that's okay because you're labeling it. So you're going to write that above that and write V above each verb. Sometimes there's more than one, and S above each subject. Here is your example. She knew that she wanted the magic bag. So right away, we see the word that. We know that that's the clause, right? So we're going to put parentheses around that she wanted the magic bag. And see how they put that right above that? It's because they're labeling it as a that clause. I know I'm saying that word a lot. It's one of those words we use a lot. And then the verb is wanted. It's an action, right? She wanted it. It's something that in her heart, she's like, I really want that bag. But then when you ask who wanted it, she wanted it. So that's why she is the subject. So she wanted. So we're going to put parentheses around the whole phrase here, that she wanted the magic bag. And remember, it has a verb and a subject inside of the that clause, the verb and the subject. So that's why it's this whole section right here. That clauses do not take commas. So you don't need any commas when you use that. Okay, any questions about this page so far? Okay. Delilah, are you still there? I can't see you, but I'm guessing you're still there.
I am. We just can't see myself.
We can't get her photo back on.
Oh,
I don't know why.
weird. That's strange.
I don't know what's going on.
It looks like
I'm
it's
looking
pointing at
on
the
her too.
ceiling.
Pardon?
It looks like it's pointing at the ceiling, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, is that, but it doesn't even, wait. I don't
There
see
you
her
go.
either.
I see you a little bit.
Oh, because we don't see her.
It's
Oh, what- how
because
come it's-
my
oh, wait.
camera is super bad.
No,
Oh,
well, what it did, it fell, the camera fell.
oh, okay. There you go. I see you now.
Can you see her? Oh, 'cause we
Yes,
can't
yep,
see-
there she is, yep. And I don't see Alex, but he probably stepped out for a second, but anyway, we're gonna keep going. Now I'm on page 63. So go ahead and turn to page 63. Any volunteers to read our sentence today? Okay, Delilah.
Yay. Okay. So, they pick me?
Go ahead and, yeah, you're gonna read this sentence right here in the middle on page 63.
Okay. The second soldier reminded that he had told the story of the bag to the princess.
Pretty good. That was good reading. Look at this word one more time right here, the dark one. Remembered. There you go. That word is remembered, and it is our vocabulary word. So when you remember something, you thought of it again, right? So like yesterday, maybe you had a really good dinner, and today you remembered it. You're thinking, wow, that soup was so tasty, and you remember it again. You think about it again. So that's what remembered means. Alex? Oh, go ahead, Delilah. Were you going to say something else?
Congratulations for winning.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Alex, do you have a question?
Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, I did have really good dinner yesterday.
You did?
I had orange chicken with pasta.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one. All right, go ahead and put a check by vocabulary because we already got that. And up here for articles, go ahead and write them in, a and the. Go ahead and write those in on your page. And we already see this is quick and easy. There's 4 articles. Here's a the. We're going to put AR above it. Here's a the, another the, and another the. We've got 4 thes. Okay, so go ahead and mark those. Cassie, did you already do that? Okay, good. Now we're looking for nouns. So I'm going to go on to Cassie. How about some nouns? Help us find 4 nouns here.
I see 2 already.
Go ahead and tell us what they are.
Princess and soldier.
Princess and soldier, those are both nouns. There's more. More.
A bag.
Bag is a noun, good.
Story.
Yes, you got it. Good job. Those are the nouns. Now pronouns. Pronouns are words that take the place of a noun, and they are usually something like he or she or it when you're taking the place of somebody's name or a thing. So you remember we talked about how I wouldn't say Wyatt goes to the store and Wyatt bought some milk and Wyatt saw a dog outside. I wouldn't keep saying Wyatt, 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 because that would be too repetitive, right? I would say Wyatt in the beginning went to the store and he bought some cereal and then he saw a dog outside. So if I say he, then it's not too repetitive. So it takes the place of his name. So we're looking for he or she in this sentence. What do you think, Wyatt? Do you see a pronoun in that sentence?
It's neither second or bag.
Okay, did you hear what I just said though, sweetie? Because we're talking about a word that takes the place of a noun. So like the example, yeah. So the example I just said, like Wyatt went to the store, Wyatt bought some cereal, Wyatt saw a dog. Instead of saying Wyatt, 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 I would say he, right? I would say Wyatt went to the store, he bought some cereal, He saw a dog. So you're right. It's he. You're looking for a word that takes the place of another noun. If it's a thing, then it's going to be it, right? Because obviously a thing like a table is not a boy or a girl, right? A table is a thing. It's made out of wood or metal or whatever, but it's not a boy or a girl. So it's it when you're referring to an object. Okay, there was only one, so we got that one. Now an adjective, remember, they describe a noun. So to find an adjective, we would have to look at the nouns we have here. We have soldier, story, bag, princess. And I'm going to start with soldier here. And if I look right before the noun, a lot of times that's where I'm going to find an adjective. And remember the question, which? So, or which one, right? The second soldier. So I see soldier here. And if I ask which soldier, the second soldier, not the first soldier, not the last soldier, not the fifth soldier, the second soldier. So this word here, second, is an adjective. It's describing the soldier. Now, I know there's only one adjective, it tells me up here at the top, but my other nouns down here, story, right before that, I have that's not an adjective, that's an article. Here we have bag and the. Here we have princess and the. So these are not adjectives because they're not describing which one, right? This is the only one that describes which soldier. It's the second soldier. Okay, check that. Now, prepositional phrases. Now, those can be a little bit tricky. We have to remember what the prepositions are. So, in your book, I want you to turn to page, hold on, let me check in this. I'm going to move that just for a second here, because I marked it on this one. Page 43, just flip over to 43 really quick.
I was already looking at it.
Good. So if you have a Post-it there, see how I already put my prepositional phrases right there? There's already a list right here. So when you go back and look for one of those words in our story today, in our sentence, that will help you find the prepositional phrase. Do you know where it is, Alex? Is that why you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's of the bag and to the princess. Princess.
Yes, of the bag. Good, because we know of is a preposition. It's on that list on page 43. Of the bag. And then here's another one, to the princess. Now, a lot of times it's a little word, and that can be a clue to you. It's one of those, see how of is only 2 letters, O-F, to is only 2 letters. A lot of times it starts with a short word like that. And if you forget, you can turn back to page 43 and check that list. That's going to help you identify your prepositional phrases. And there's 2, and Alex got both. Good job, Alex. Okay, Christian, let's move on to that clause. And remember, it's an easy one to spot because it actually starts with the word that. So do you see where that word is, Christian? Go ahead and unmute, Christian, and tell us that clause that you see there.
It's after remembered.
Yes. So we're going to mark it with parentheses. And guess what? It's going to go all the way to the end of the sentence. That he told the story of the bag to the princess. That is the whole phrase. And remember, it said to label it. And so we're going to write that right on top of that, even though it's already there. But that's labeling the phrase. And it goes all the way to the end. Okay? That he had told the story of the bag to the princess. And there's only one, so we got that one. Now, subject verb pairs. Remember, which one is it that you want to look for first? Is it the subject or the verb you want to look for first? Go ahead and just unmute and say it if you know.
Verb.
Good, yes. So I want you to write here, look for V first. V stands for verb. So go ahead and make that little note on your page. Look for verb first. That's the V. All right. So we have a verb here. The second soldier remembered. That's something you do. Remember, Alex and I were talking about dinner last night. So we remembered. It's something that happens inside our brain, but it's still an action. And this time I'm going to write the V a little bit higher up because I want it in line with the subject when I put S for subject. So you can put V a little bit higher there. Now, to find the subject, you need to ask yourself who or what. So in this word, remembered, who remembered, Wyatt? Who remembered? Got to go backwards.
The soldiers.
Good. So that's the subject. Soldier. The soldier remembered. So those two go together. That's why it says pair, because they go together. The soldier remembered. Okay, let's keep going. That he had told. Now there's the word told. That is a verb. So we're going to put a V for that. Told. But guess what? Right before it is had told. And I know that had is a helping verb. It helps told. So it goes together. Had told are two verbs right next to each other. Had told. Now we ask ourselves, who had told? Alex, do you know? What's the subject?
He had told.
He had told. So put an S right above the PR where we put pronoun, because that is a pronoun. So the subject verb pair is he had told. He had told. And there's two of them, and we already got those two. We got two subject verb pairs. One's here and one's here. Okay, so there's your note. When you do your homework this week, look for the verb first. That's going to help you. And then obviously we need a capital here for the, and we need an end mark, which is a period in this sentence. It's usually a period, but every once in a while I'll have a question mark or something different. All right, so now you are done with that page. Go ahead and write your sentence down below, and then I'm going to have you do one more thing before we move on.
I just wrote that sentence down and I did the first one for my homework.
Okay, well, good. I hope you were listening to everything
Yep.
so that you know what to do. Okay, just relax for a minute then, and we'll do the next thing. I'm going to have you put a Post-it note on one more page in your book after you finish your writing your sentence. So let's give everybody a minute to finish their sentence. Give me a thumbs up when you're done. I see that. Christian, did you finish yours? Okay, good. And I think Alex is still working. Okay, we'll let Alex finish up here. I'm going to move this out of the way. In your grammar book, you can just pause for a second, Alex, so you can get this. I want you to turn all the way back to page. It doesn't have a page number. It's at the very beginning. It looks like this. It says scope and sequence at the very top. It's like the third page in on your book. And there's a big grid here. Do you guys see that? It's like the third page in. It's actually before they start numbering the pages. Yeah, it looks like this. It's called scope and sequence. It's basically like a table of contents for your book. Give me a thumbs up if you found that page. Okay, good. Okay, so I want you to put a Post-it on this page because, and you're going to stick it up like we did earlier. right here. So it goes past the page like that. So check this out. It says parts of speech right here. Do you see? We see noun, subject noun, pronoun, subject pronoun, preposition, verb, action verb, linking verb, helping verb. Okay, so let's say you forgot what an action verb is. So go here where it says action verb and go along until you see a number. And you see the number 9. And that's telling you, if you look at the top, that is covered in week 9 of your book. And then if you look at the top edge of your book here, you'll see like today's lesson. Let me go back to that one. We were on page 61. If you go back to where we were at, 63, where we were working on this sentence, I took my paper off so you can't see how we fixed it. But do you see at the very top right, it says week 11. If you go backwards, you'll see week 10. If you keep going backwards, you'll see week 9 or 8. You see at the top there? So you can use this page to help you find what these things are. This is like a little key for you. And you can show that to your mom. She'll understand how, or your grandma or whoever's helping you with your school. They'll know how to use this. Okay, you're going to look for, let's say you're stuck on, okay, what's a prepositional phrase or what's a preposition? Guess what? If you turn the page, there's more back here. Hold on, let me see where preposition is. Okay. I know it's in here somewhere. Do you guys see preposition in here? There it is. See preposition? If you go across and you see the number 8, we talked about it in week 8. So you would find week 8 in your book. I really wanted to take the time to show you this page because if you forget what things are, I want you to go back to this page and look for that week, okay? All right, we're done with grammar. So go ahead and put that aside. And now you need this story from your binder. By the way, we are all finished with camels. Yay! Woohoo! All done with camels.
Not woohoo. Now we have to do 2-page stuff.
So all of your stuff that you had for camels can now go in that part of your binder that says finished compositions. Remember how we've been putting them back here? So you can move all your stuff for camels now because we're done with camels. And then when you're done moving that, you're going to get out this story called King Midas. It's on page 49. So move all your stuff from camels to the back to behind finished compositions. And now we're going to start a new story. And this is going to be a brand new unit for us. So it's pretty exciting. You're moving on to the next part. And yeah, you're right. The stories are getting longer. That's okay. We're not going to do the keyword outline the same anymore. I'm going to change that up a little bit now. We're moving on to the next part. So, but don't worry. It's actually going to be fun. I think this is more fun to me than the regular keyword outlines. Okay, does everybody have that story? King Midas?
In my what is it called? Finished composition. I feel like you already told us.
We did read it. We read it last week in the class. I know some of you didn't make it to the Thursday class, so hopefully you watched the video.
Yeah.
But we did read this story. Let me write down Cassie.
Yeah, all my cameras is back here. Already.
I know Cassie, Christian, and Alexis. Oh, Alexis isn't here today, huh? That's all right. Christian and Cassie, did you guys get to watch the recording of the class?
No.
Okay,
No.
you need to do that to be able to catch up with where we're at, okay? But just to refresh our memory, I'm going to reread this story and then we're going to talk about a new way to do our keyword outlines now. I know this story's longer, but let's just read this first. So go ahead and listen and follow along as I read. There once lived a wealthy king named Midas who lived in comfort and luxury, but still had a great desire for gold. All right, so I'm just going to pause there for a second because wealthy means he had a lot of money, right? He had a lot of money. Luxury is just a state of great comfort or elegance, especially when involving great expense. So like you can imagine, I'm sure you've seen a movie or read a book about a king, or even, you know, it's in the Bible too, if you read the Bible, but there's kings, earthly kings that love to wear fancy clothes and live in a fancy house and have fancy things, right? Expensive things. So that's this guy, King Midas. His house was decorated with gold, and every day he wore fine gold jewelry. The king had but one thought: how to get more gold. So this guy was the definition of greedy. Like he already had gold and he wanted more. And by the way, gold is expensive, especially now. I see your hand, Alex, but I'm going to keep reading and maybe we can talk after we're done, okay? Sadly, even with all the wealth he had, King Midas was not happy. The more gold he had, the more gold he wanted. Then one day, a strange visitor granted King Midas the gift of one wish. May anything I touch turn to gold, he declared. It was granted. Everything he touched did become gold. A table, a chair, the rug, even his bed. Uh-oh. I don't think a gold bed would be very comfortable because gold is a metal, you know, and cold. So, okay. But flowers lost their color and smell because, you know, when you touch the flowers, they turn to gold too. Food became inedible, meaning, I mean, you would break your teeth if you tried to bite into a golden hamburger, right? That would
Or
hurt.
swallow, because it would choke you, because it would be too hard to even
You
go
couldn't
down
even bite it, right? It just would be like a rock.
or digest.
Midas began to worry. And when his beloved little daughter came to give him a hug and turned into a statue of solid gold before his eyes, oh no, how deeply he regretted that horrible wish he had made. King Midas was desperate to be rid of this golden touch. He repented of his greed. The strange visitor returned, okay, turn it over, still going here, and had mercy on him. That means he was kind of feeling bad for him, right? He kind of wanted to help him out. And he said, wash your hands in the river Pactolus, he ordered. That's the name of the river. King Midas raced to the river. He saw gold light flowing from his hands into the water, and then he picked up a rock, and it remained a rock. The golden touch was gone. To his delight, when he returned home, everything was normal again. His daughter was running and laughing, and his food was hot and tasty. From that day on, King Midas was never greedy, but always grateful for the beauty he saw in everything around him. He became a generous king, loved by all his people. So generous is the opposite of greedy. So now he's giving, right? Now he's helping people and he's giving, maybe giving money or food or anything special to someone else. So that's what being generous means. So there is a lesson he learned, and here he is hugging his daughter. And I think it was his daughter that really changed his mind, because obviously the thing that he loved most, aside from gold, was his daughter. And then seeing her turn into a statue just really affected him. And so he, at that point, decided this isn't worth it. All the gold in the world is not worth it, because he wanted his daughter back. So that's the lesson he learned, is it's not worth being greedy when you lose your loved ones. Okay, so now I want you to get out a clean piece of lined paper, and I'm going to show you how to set up a new way to do our keyword outlines. So go ahead and get a clean piece of paper out. And you can use a pencil for this part. Usually when you do your big story, you use a pen, but this time it's okay to use a pencil or a pen if you prefer. At the top on the left, like we always do, I'm going to draw a line, but that's where you put your name. Remember, first and last name at the top left. And then today's date, which is November 15th already, 2022. So you're basically just going to copy what I have on my paper. It looks like a couple of you might be like scrambling to find your paper. Remember, we got to have lined paper with us for class, and I recommend you keep it in your binder. That way it's all together.
I always have lined paper on my
Okay,
binder.
good.
And
Good,
that story that I was going to tell you, the question, he kind of reminded me of hers.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true, huh?
I just went
Okay.
there, so it reminded me.
Oh, okay. Skip a line after your date. You're going to put King Midas. That is the name of this story, King Midas. And then underneath that, we're going to call this story sequence chart. So it goes like this: story sequence, that has a Q in it, chart. So you remember how we used to say keyword outline. Well, now we're transitioning to something new called story sequence chart. And that means now we've moved on. So, okay, at the very beginning of the year, we talked about the keyword outline and how to use it to retell a story. And then in Unit 2, we learned how to make a keyword outline and write the story. Now in Unit 3, this is a new unit, we're going to learn how to do a story sequence chart. And when you think about a book or a movie or a show that you like to watch, there is usually a sequence. That means an order of how the story goes. So now we're going to make this chart, and we're going to use the information from the story to retell it, but not every single sentence. Okay, let's just get started on that. The first thing I want you to do is skip 2 lines, and then you're going to draw a line down the middle of your paper about to there. Doesn't have to be exact, so don't worry. Just draw a line down the middle of your paper like this. Delilah?
I'm writing it in pen.
I prefer pencil if you have one, but if you don't have one with you today, you can use your pen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so draw that line in the middle, and then on this side, on the right side of it, I'm going to have you write a Roman numeral 1. Okay, we're going to leave this side blank for a minute. We're going to focus on the right side here. And remember how we did our keyword outlines. It's going to look kind of similar to that. We're going to do a 1, 2, 3. I'll give you a second to write that down. So you have your line in the middle of your paper. You have Roman numeral 1, and then under that, 1, 2, 3. This is a new way to set up your paper. So now we're just going to skip 2 lines here. So you can put a little tiny X here and here just to help us to remember to skip a couple lines, because we don't want this to get too crowded on your paper. And then underneath that, you're going to do a Roman numeral 2, and then another 1, 2, 3. You
Don't
guys
tell
with
me.
me?
Don't tell me. Under that, we're gonna do a Roman numeral 3, and then another 1, 2, 3,
You're so smart, Christian. We're going to do 2 little X's.
then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10.
We're only doing 3, so don't worry. Do 2 little X's again. We're going to skip 2 lines. Now we're going to do, Christian's right, Roman numeral 3, 1, 2, 3. And you can extend that line if you need to. And that's it as far as the Roman numerals. So we're not going to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are only doing 3. That means you're going to eventually, after we learn how to do this, you're going to make this story into a 3-paragraph story, even though this original one has more than 3 paragraphs. Okay, but I'll explain that in a second. Now, the next thing, this is just setting up your chart. Okay, go back to the top. You see your Roman numeral 1. That line that's directly above it, you're going to draw it all the way across like this. Right above Roman numeral 1. You see how I did that? And then you're going to find Roman numeral 2, and you're going to draw it all the way across. Find your Roman numeral 3 right above it. Right above it. There. So now you have 6 sections. And sometimes I like to draw one at the very bottom too, just to kind of make it nice and tidy. Like that. Good listening, you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you have it. If yours looks like mine now. Okay, good. Good. Yay. Good listening. Do you have a question? Okay, good. I see your thumb. Good. Yay. Woohoo. All right. Now we're going to leave this like that for a minute. On the left, now we're going to fill in this box. When you read a story or watch a movie, usually the characters and the setting are introduced first, right? Because it's no fun to be like, you start a book and it starts in the middle of the book, unless it's that one story where you make up the story as you go along. But usually the beginning of the book has characters and setting. So go ahead and write characters/setting. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. Characters/setting. So usually the very first paragraph of a story or the first chapter of your book or the first 20 minutes or so of a movie, maybe 10 minutes, you're learning about the characters and the setting. So think about that. There's an order in how this goes in a story. And when we talk about the characters and setting, we ask ourselves some questions. So you can skip a line and right here, write who? Question mark. Go ahead and skip a line and write who. And then next to that, what are they like? So I'm going to put a little dash, and then I'm going to put like, and that means what are they like, not what do they like. It's like, what kind of personality are they? Obviously, in this story, we're going to be talking about King Midas, and we know he's greedy. So that's what he's like. That's how his personality is in the beginning. He is a greedy king. So you're going to ask yourself, who's in the story and what are they like? And then you're going to ask, where Where are they? Are they in a forest? Are they on the moon? Are they in China? Are they in the desert or in the mountains or at the beach? Okay, where gives us an image in our head, and when. And when could be like time of day, or it could be like an old story from maybe the early 1900s or something like that. Okay, that gives you a different image of the way people dress, of the way the houses are. You know, it creates an image. So now what I want you to do is put a little line like this, kind of like a little arrow. And then I want you to put the word image, because that's what gives you an image. An image just means a picture inside your head. So it'll give you a picture inside your head of what the setting looks like in the story. It helps you visualize it. So who can unmute and tell me, what is the setting of this story? Where are they in this story? Where do you think they are, Cassie?
In a castle.
In a castle. Now, it didn't really say that in the story, but you're right. I think they're in a castle because we're talking about a king, and we're talking about how he lived this really luxurious life. Like he had all these things, right? So we can imagine he's in a castle, and you know, it's in the middle of the day, and he's thinking about gold, basically. Okay, now we're going to wait to fill in these two squares. So we're going to leave those blank for now, but don't lose this paper because you're going to need it for next week's class. So now let's look at just this top section right here, the characters and setting. So Wyatt, who is the main character in our story, King Midas? You know, Wyatt, who's the main character?
King Midas is the main character.
Yes. So right next to Roman numeral 1, I want you to write King Midas. By the way, I forgot to tell you that the rules are still the same with this chart as they are with the keyword outline. You can only use 3 words, but you can use symbols and numbers and abbreviations for free, just like in your keyword outline. So right now we have King Midas. Those are 2 words. And tell me, Christian, what was King Midas like? What was his personality? Can you think of the word? Say it again.
He was greedy.
Greedy. Let's put greedy. Greedy. So we have King Midas and greedy. That's 1, 2, 3 words. So we're already done with that. So do you see now how instead of finding the words in the sentences, now you're going to your brain, because we read the whole story and now the story's inside your brain. And now in order to fill out this chart, you need to ask these questions to yourself. So you're not looking back on the story anymore. You're thinking with your brain about what the story is about, and then finding some keywords in your brain to put down. You see how we're doing it differently now? Okay. So now think about King Midas. What are some things that he treasured? What are some things that he treasured? Alex, go ahead.
Gold.
Gold. Let's go ahead and write that down. Gold. What else did he treasure? Delilah? Remember in the beginning, they kind of talked about how he dressed.
I can't get out of it.
You can't get out
I
of it.
can't get out.
What did he wear? How about Christian? What is something about what he wore?
Well, he wore jewelry, but I was gonna say he treasured his daughter.
He did,
Just say
but
something.
we didn't find that out till later, huh?
Right.
So at the beginning, we're just going to talk about the things because he was greedy, right? So go ahead and put gold, comma, jewelry.
Okay.
And then you can put, let me scoot this over.
The story, okay.
He had fancy clothes. Remember that? So I'm going to put clothes here. So in the beginning, you were right, Christian. Later, he's cherished his daughter. But in the beginning, he was just all about himself. He was greedy of the things he had. He was focused on all those material things. But now think about a little bit more about the character and also think about the flow of the story. Was King Midas happy in the beginning, do you think? Was he happy? No, I see Cassie shaking her head. No, he wasn't satisfied, right? He was wanting more. So he was not satisfied. So we're going to put the word dissatisfied. That means not satisfied. So D-I-S. Kind of a big word there. Dissatisfied. He was dissatisfied. He was not, it was not enough. He had all the gold that he had. He still wanted more, right? He had jewelry, he had clothes, everything was so fancy, but he was not happy still. Dissatisfied. And let's put wanted and more. I know I'm running into my margin here. That's okay. So I have dissatisfied, wanted more. Do you see how I'm focusing just on the character, right? About who he is. He's greedy. He has gold. He has jewelry, he has clothes. He's dissatisfied and he wanted more. And then remember, somebody came to his house after that. Who was it that came to his house, Alex?
A random strange man.
Okay, so we'll call it strange. And we'll say visitor.
Stranger, you could just put stranger.
Could put stranger. And then what did the stranger say? You remember? What did the stranger say? Alex?
He said that he will that you can grant one wish or something.
Yes, yes. So let's put the number 1 because that's a number. We can use that for free. And then put the word wish. Good. So now we have our 3 words. So notice I didn't use little words like the or a or his or little words like that. We don't need those words for this outline. It's like a keyword outline where you're only using 3 words. So here's what your outline should look like so far. And we focused on mainly the King Midas, the character, the main character. Now, we didn't really answer where and when this time, but we will include that as we're writing this part of the story. We mostly focused on King Midas in this part. Okay, so now I know we're running out of time. For your homework this week, I want you to write just paragraph 1. You're going to rewrite. So what we're doing is taking this really long story, and now we're writing it in our own words in a shorter version of the story. So you're going to use your words. You know how to do that because we've been practicing that in class, using your keywords to write new sentences about this story. So you might start by saying once upon a time, or one day, or once there lived a king named King Midas. You get to put it in your own words now and use these words to help you with your sentences. Okay, just like you do with a keyword outline, and you're only writing 1 paragraph. Okay, just the first paragraph. Next week, we'll look at the other 2 paragraphs, but to start, we're just going to write the first paragraph and then make sure, and I'm going to put this in your instructions on Google Classroom, but make sure you add, we're still doing the ly adverb. We're still doing the who, which clause, those 2 things in your paragraph. Okay. Does everybody understand what to do for this part of your homework? Okay, good. You're just going to rewrite just the first paragraph of the story using these words that we did in class and including an ly adverb and a who, which clause. Okay, really quick before you go, have you guys give me a thumbs up if you've been reading my notes that I send you in Google Classroom? Have you seen those notes I send you? Okay, good. Because that's really important. It's helping you specifically on your work. Make sure you look at, I'll highlight something and give you a comment that goes with it. Make sure that you check those.
Wait, you do those?
I do. So when you go back into you need to check that. Maybe your mom can help you.
My mom showed me like 1 or 2 of them, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you should look at those every time because I make a lot of notes on there for you that says, I like this and maybe change this. So you really need to pay attention to what I put on your homework in Google Classroom. So make sure you check that.
Okay, so I just go to the Google Classroom and then what do I do? And
Go
like,
to your homework, like I haven't finished all of last week's homework yet, but go back to the week before homework that gets sent back to you. And then you open it up and click on the page that you did. So like I made a lot of notes on your story, the camels. So go back to that story that you wrote, the camels, and click on that link. Do you understand what I mean, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you open it, you'll see my notes in there. So I might try to do a little video about that because I really want you guys to, I spend a lot of time giving you feedback on your homeworks. I say a lot of details. So I want you to catch that because that's going to help you in the writing class. Okay. Like for instance, just one thing I want to remind Cassie of right now is you're still forgetting to double space. So make sure when you write your story, your paragraph, make sure you skip lines. Okay. All right. So then next week is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. We will not have class next week, but we will have class again the week after that. So keep all of this stuff about King Midas in the front of your binder because we'll go back to that after Thanksgiving.
So happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. And Wyatt, you're going to stick around for a second. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
So it's over now, right?
It's over now. Wyatt's going to stay on because I need to talk to him for a minute.